Hi,
Figure out.
I'm Stephanie O'Day, and thank you for joining us. We're here with another episode of Real Moms Making Real Money at Home, in their pajamas, and how you can too. And I'm happy to have with us today Tricia Callahan. You know her online as the Once a Month Dinner Mom. Tricia, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So, Tricia is a big proponent of meal planning. She and her family cook all of their meals once. They have a big cooking day and a big shopping day, and then she stocks her freezer and has everything ready to go in her pantry and shares how she does it online with her readers, and has a very highly trafficked website and has ventured into the ebook era. And I'd love for you to just kind of share how you got started and how you do monetize your site, how you work with brands, and what type of advice you might have for those of us who are just getting started. So take it away, Tricia, anything and everything. And also, I would like to point out that I have soaking wet hair because I just got out of the shower because I've got the kids home with me in the summer. And Tricia has a toddler who's, I guess, 2.5 weeks older than mine, trying to go down for a nap. So this is real life.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It probably will. We've been trying to coordinate schedules for the last few days. It hasn't worked out. And then I'd also like to point out that it is, Friday, August 5th, and Blog Her 11 is in full swing, and yet we're both home in our own houses. So there you go. We really party it up.
Great. So you can go to blogging conferences and get a lot out of them, and you can also stay at home and get a lot out of them too. So.
We can have our own little mini conference. Yeah.
Yes.
So how did you get started? What made you decide to put things out there on the internet? Did you have a business plan? Did you have an idea of what you were getting yourself into?
No, and no. My son will be 3 this month, and right before he was born, I was on 6 weeks of modified bed rest for heart issues. And so I worked a full-time job. I've always worked a full-time job. Pretty much prior to him, hadn't even thought about staying at home. But then as I moved into having him, was thinking about that. But I also knew that with my personality that I'm very type A. I'm very driven. I'm very motivated. There's very little that I do that I don't give like 150% to. And so we always kind of talked about, my husband and I always kind of talked about like what, not that stay-at-home mom, I can't achieve that there, but I also wanted to have some sort of outlet to channel some of that, because I knew if I directed it at my kids, they would be in counseling for the rest of their lives. And so I just started picking up some hobbies and doing some stuff. And so for the first time with bed rest was the first time in a long time that I just had downtime. And so I started spending some time on the internet. My husband had mentioned these things called blogs, and he is a web designer, coder, developer. And so he's always tech and always telling me about things. And so I just started I think probably on people's Facebook pages, started looking and seeing what blogs they were following and got really interested. I remember one of the first blogs I read was the grocery cart challenge, where she would spend $60 on her family of 6 for a week, and I was just like, really? And I remember talking about this, and so I would come back and I'd talk to my husband about my finds for the day and things I was reading, and I just remember him saying, well, you could do that, you could have a blog. And I was like, what in the world would I have a blog about? And he was like, well, I could develop it for you. And I was like, well, and so I remember, you're up late at night, pregnancy, you're on bed rest, just kind of wheels are turning. And so I started thinking about the things that I did that maybe other people, that were unique to me. What are some things that I liked doing? I knew that I liked cooking. I knew that I had done once a month cooking periodically, several occasions, and every time I did it, somebody was like, oh, can I do that with you? Or I'd love to do that, but I don't have the personality to put all that together. And so I started thinking about that because I'm like, well, I can't have all my friends over to my kitchen to cook, as nice as that would be. So maybe there's a resource for that. So I started doing some research into were there other once-a-month cooking sites, I knew there were cookbooks, what did they offer? And I did see places that would list, okay, these are some recipes we're doing, but they wouldn't include the recipes. Or they would say how they're doing it or who they're doing it with, but they didn't really give. And I really felt like the biggest obstacle for people doing once-a-month cooking is the organization. It's the grocery lists. It's the what do I put on? Like, I may have 6 meals that I want to do, but what do I put on first? What do I put on? Like, what should I be doing while that's cooking? And so, like, a lot of people, and I knew I had those talents. And so I started out with just doing my menus, menus that I had done in the past. And then from there, decided I was going to do a new one each month. I will say we are hit and miss in terms of we don't do it every month as a family because the blog is very consuming. As a blogger, a lot of bloggers, and each blog is different, but a lot of bloggers will just have, like, if you have a recipe post, you make the recipe, you take the pictures, you have to experiment with it, you write about it. And in addition to that, in addition to posting every day, we also have the back end of developing all those resources, the Google Docs, the grocery list, and all that. So that takes a lot more time. So now we've moved to more having test kitchens. So my readers will volunteer to test the menus that are coming up, and they find the mistakes for me. And actually, they're a lot better at finding mistakes than I am because I kind of know the recipes, and so I sometimes go off my instinct rather than actual directions. And so they help us a lot with that. And so that frees me up to not do it as often because actually the menus are a lot of food and probably more food than we eat in a month. And so I kind of pick and choose when it makes sense for us to do it. But it definitely has saved my marriage and saved my family over the last couple of years because those, if any of you have kids, from 4 to 5:30 is probably not your favorite hours of the day. It's not mine. And so it's nice to be able to pull something out of the freezer or out of the refrigerator that's thawing and just stick it in the oven or stick it in the slow cooker and have it ready, have all the prep done. And so my kids aren't, I can be more intentional with them and I don't have to yell at them and tell them not to get in the kitchen. So that's mainly how I got started.
The witching hour thing is exactly why I turned to the crockpot. Yes. I consider myself a pretty okay mom. I have a background in child development. My kids are not nice. Come 4:30, they're just not.
Right.
They need to be outside. They need.
We might be the same person.
We might.
We were born in the same year, and we have the same degree. I don't know that we've ever discussed this.
Oh no! All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, back in the old days, I was gonna save the world and run all of these. Yeah, these
other kids.
Yeah, as a newlywed, I ran child care centers. One of them was for homeless kids, and I'd come home every night and be like, Adam, we need to adopt, we need to be foster parents, we need to do this, we need to do that. And eventually, someday, I would like to do that. It's just not the right thing. But, it's hard. Seeing people struggle is very difficult. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so I always thought, of course, if I could get a room full of toddlers to listen, of course my own kids will listen and will follow suit, and they will sit with their back straight, crisscross applesauce, and with their listening ears, and it just doesn't. Other people's kids sometimes are better behaved.
It surely doesn't happen when they're hungry.
No. Yeah, absolutely. So you are quite lucky in that your husband does all of your web design and development and understands HTML and hyperlinks and doesn't kind of gloss over. I noticed he's also on Twitter, which has got to be kind of fun because you're able to have that part of your life kind of go over. Adam, I know his eyes kind of gloss over when I'm like, well, I saw this on Twitter, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, okay. But that's neat that you and Ben are able to do that. Yeah. Yeah,
so, it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. I mean, like, it's nice because he does understand it and he encourages it, and at the same time, but at the same time, it's kind of like work because, it's like when you get done with work, the last thing you want to do is more work, and so, like, sometimes things for the website get put on the back burner, and he actually will not let me touch any of the back ends of it.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to install plugins or anything because he's very, particular about not getting bugs. But anyway, so it's been good, and it's been something that we can share. Like, we can both use our talents towards, but
right.
It also has its challenges.
Now, from a business standpoint, have you started an LLC? Are you keeping track of your food receipts and writing them off? Are you doing that?
I do. I didn't the first 6 months. I mean, really, when I started out, it was just to do it and have fun. And I got I'm in an area of the world that's very saturated by bloggers. So I had a lot of bloggers to consult with and ask what they were doing. And so they taught me a lot about the things that I needed to know. And so I really didn't start monetizing the first 6 months. But in that first 6 month period, I did form an LLC, and I did get a employee identification number. And I actually am to the point where I actually have contributing writers now, and they all get paid. So there's actually they're not necessarily employees, they're contract for the site. So yes, and for those reasons, and because my husband owns his own business, we already knew a lot about all of that stuff and the importance of it. And so we were able to kind of get started. And yes, I keep track of my grocery receipts that are the good part about food blogging is any foods that you're using. So like if I do a once a month cooking day, it's actually a tax write-off, which is very fantastic. And so we keep track of that. I keep track of, if I were at Blogger, I would be keeping track of my travel and my meals and my advertising. And I use QuickBooks now online. Into it. It's very inexpensive. I think it's maybe $20. I don't remember how much. It's worth it to me to be able to go online anywhere, and it imports all of my stuff and keeps track of it for me and helps me to categorize it. And then I've developed some Google spreadsheets that also I use that to keep track of my different so I have like 4 or 5 revenue sources as far as ad networks. Backups of backups of backups of ad networks. And so I have a Google spreadsheet that keeps all of that, keeps all that lined up for me so that I know what I'm making from where.
Okay.
Each month. And then add that up.
Now, for someone who's just starting, the idea of spending money without any money coming in is scary. Would you, if you were to break it down, would you suggest just starting with Google Adsense to begin with and have and maybe an Amazon affiliates account if your area allows you to? Amazon
if you're not in California.
Amazon just closed my affiliates account, and that was a big blow.
A big bump.
A big blow. I've had people tell me I should incorporate in another state, and so far we've always walked the ethical and moral straight line, and
high road.
Yeah. I get it that other people do that, but I need to go to bed every night knowing that I've done the right thing. So.
Right. I mentor quite a few bloggers in the area too, and one of the first things I say is at least get a Google AdSense ad up, and the 300 by 250s or the 160 by 600s seem to be the most, and if you can put more than one on a page, whether it be in the footer and on the side, that tends to make more money, just things I found. And I would, as a new blogger, I just say play around with that placement too, try one place and see how much it makes you a week, and then add another one and see how much did you make more that next week, and just kind of play with them for maybe a month and see what's the best placement for you. So I did start out with...
AdSense limits you to 3 ads.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not...
So make sure you check with that.
It's not uber money. I mean, we're talking, I think my average right now is 85 cents a CPM, which is every 1,000 page renewals, refreshes. Is that what's the right word?
I used to make good money on AdSense. I had joined a network after and had AdSense, and some months I would make as much on AdSense as I would on my private ad network.
I'm happy with AdSense actually, but it does seem like my average CPM is between 85 cents and $1. And any blog advertising network will say we have high CPM, and maybe they do. Maybe their CPMs are sometimes as high as $12, but they don't have enough ad inventory to give you that ad all the time anyway. So it averages out to right around $1 a CPM. And CPM is some Latin word which I don't really know, even though I was an English major. And it means something per million or per thousand or something, right?
I always just say I get paid for every 1,000 people that visit my site, and then I get paid for people that click on those ads, and it varies by month, and it varies by the ad that's showing.
And monetization through ads is kind of a deck of cards, a house of cards. So that's one level of monetization, but there's others. Right. So what others would you recommend or do you find are worthwhile?
I have 125 by 125 is on my sidebar. That isn't necessarily, it's just now starting to pick up for me, and I feel like...
So what those are for you is they're like little square, right? They're little square buttons.
Right. Yes, like a little square button that people would pay to have on your site. If you use WordPress, there's plugins for putting those in. I use a plugin for that to help manage it that I really like that counts the clicks. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing that, but I do think you have to take time to really pursue those. Like, if somebody's going to advertise with mine, I usually send them a report at the end of the month letting them know how many clicks it registered, basically what they got for their money. And I think those things that I did, I try to do things to set myself apart when I'm going to do that. And I think that's the key. Like, if you want to stand out among advertisers or with a company and really impress them, especially if you're just getting started, is to do that. I do Amazon and the sell stuff. I do a lot of collaborating with bloggers if they have an ebook, because a lot of the bloggers that are selling ebooks are doing 30%, and I actually make decent money off those each month, especially if they're relevant to my audience. I'm trying to think. I am not super monetization because I really have not been in it for the money. Obviously, now that I have writers, I am a little bit more in tune with that because they want to get paid, and so I need to make sure that they're making some money. And the more we've done. So, but I think it's a hard balance. I would say is monetization. You really have to balance it with your content.
You certainly shouldn't start something hoping to get rich quick. I mean, it's an age-old saying, but you do what you love, and the money will eventually follow. And I do believe that, and I do believe the more content you provide for free out there, the better your Google page rank. People will begin to click on you and leave links and the Facebook likes, and the traffic will come. It's organic. What is it? Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. And especially if you keep up with it. And you're a testament to that, and some of the bloggers that you hear of are a testament. You can't just throw something up and sporadically add to it once every few months and hope the readers will come back. You have to keep giving them things.
Right. And probably part of, the slow cooker thing was it was every day. They knew they were going to get another recipe every day. And so, and at least having some sort of, consistent schedule. And I think resource blogs do a lot better than just diary blogs or moms. And I have a lot of friends that are mom bloggers or diarists.
Right.
That doesn't make their blog less worthy, but, our conversations need to be different. Because, monetization's a lot harder for that kind of blog. And if you're passionate about it, you should still do that. But you should also know why it is that you're blogging. Are you blogging for an outlet? Are you blogging for money? Are you blogging for, an outlet that might make money in the future? And that really should dictate the steps that you take more so than, other things.
Right.
Because I found a lot of bloggers.
If your blog is kind of a continuation of your Facebook page, then chances are you're not going to get Google search traffic, but you may do quite well with product placement and giveaways and that type of thing. And that's a completely different conversation, which we can have. But yeah. So talk to me about your ebook. What type of software did you use? How do you keep track of it? How do you keep people from forwarding it on? And are there any rules? I haven't done one yet. I'm very intrigued. I also should point out, because many of my readers happen to be gluten-free. Tricia has gluten-free menus.
Yes, I have a contributing writer that writes a gluten-free, dairy-free menu, and just started in May, so just about 3 months.
Yeah.
And so each month one comes out. So, and that's been a fun one to have. I mean, it's not my most popular, but I know it's probably one of my most helpful because I know that diet is just so hard to eat out and do things. So it's nice to have backup. But yeah, the ebook. I would not say that I'm an expert in it, and I'm still learning. I basically, when I started out, one of my husband's big things is that he wants stuff to look good. And so he's always like, okay, you can do an ebook, but it needs to look good. It needs to look like a cookbook. It needs to look like something I'd buy in the store.
Right.
So I actually hired somebody to create a template for me.
Okay.
And I'm on Mac, so I use Pages, and I change those pages into PDFs. Okay. Now, in the ebook world, that's a little bit difficult because none of those PDFs will transfer to Kindle because Kindle's not color, and all of its color and the way it was designed was not designed by somebody who was really thinking about ebooks in terms of devices. And honestly, when we started the template, devices weren't as big as they are now. So tablets.
Interesting, because it's only been a few. Yeah, I mean, you and I had an ebook.
It's been like a year. I mean, really, that it's changed.
Okay.
And that ebooks can be sold on Kindle, and that that people can self-publish like that. Books were going to Kindle, but not ebooks.
Right.
So we really didn't think about that, and I'm really kind of stuck because I don't know whether to pay somebody else to do a new template that I really like, and then who, because there's very few people in the field that understand how to set it up effectively to transfer to EPUBs. And then EPUBs are different.
Well, then let's pause right here and let's see if we can help you out. If anybody's watching and can help Tricia and would like good advertising for your business, please email Tricia. What's the right email? OnceAMonthMom or? Yeah,
info@onceamonthmom.com is fine.
Okay. Help, please.
That would be great, Steph. So I think it's a beautiful ebook. It's a cookbook. It's this particular one is for toddlers. It's called Survive Before 5. So it's talking about those hours. Our philosophy around here is I'm the stay-at-home mom, and I have to feed them 3 meals a day. And so we don't fight about breakfast and lunch because I would rather fight and try to get them to introduce new foods at dinner time when Dad's here and he can help me and we can tag team. So I just have to survive before 5. You know it's true, don't you? You're laughing because it's totally true. And
I just walked through the door and I'm like, oh, good, take over.
Yes. So
I don't care what kind of meetings you had. I don't care what kind of day you had. Just take them, please.
Yes. You talk to people over the age of 10, and so therefore you have more energy than I do. Yes. So, they have more rational skills, even if you have bad employees. It's breakfast, lunches, and snacks for an entire month, and it's things that kids will eat. It's homemade SpaghettiOs, it's macaroni and cheese, it's and homemade. It's like making it from scratch, and then having it in single serving portions in your freezer. And the ebook it has charts for whether you're cooking for 1 kid, 2, 4, or 6. And so it gives you the grocery list, the step-by-step instructions, what to do. It gives you all the recipe cards with pictures, some of them step-by-step pictures. So there's a lot of things in there. It is, if you go to Once a Month Mom and go to extras and go to ebooks, it's on there. It's $7.99 for that. And I have a holiday one too for doing all of your holiday meals ahead of time, but those are the first 2 I've done. They've made money. I mean, honestly, the first one paid for the template that I had done, and the second one is kind of profit, so you kind of have to look at that. I looked at making an investment in it. I feel like it could do a lot better if I could get it on Kindle or EPUB or whatever, and I need to research that, and as I go to make other ones, I have 6 in my head that I still want to do, so I have to figure out the formatting of what that's going to look like. But it's been really good. I've gotten good feedback on it, but I use, as far as not having people take it, it's kind of, you win some and lose some. I do use a couple WordPress plugins that I paid money for, so I think I paid about $100
Okay.
One of them stamps it, and the other one basically sends it to them as an email, and they have, you determine the time, but in my case, they have 48 hours to download it, and if they haven't downloaded, that kind of keeps them from emailing the link off.
Right.
And sending it to other people. But you really can't 100% do it. I mean, you just know what it's like to be a rock star and have stuff on Napster. So, like, it happens that way. But I would think most people are honest. And
that's what I hope as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's going to happen. I mean, if they need it, they need it. I have found that doing giveaways of my ebooks on blogs, so like if you were going to review my ebook and you did a giveaway of it, it's probably not going to sell because people are like, oh, I'm going to wait to see if I get it as a giveaway, and then they forget, and then they don't come back. So I have found that monetize-wise, that seems to not be very effective, although a coupon code seems to be effective as motivation. But yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's been extra money. I wish I could produce more of them, but because if I just did them and didn't care about the pictures and the formatting, then I could probably get a lot more done. But I want them, well, and my husband wants them to look nice. So.
You do a good job. You know, I'm realizing that for some reason our internet connection is getting a little funky and the sound is a little off. And I can see from the timer that we've been talking for a good half hour. So we should probably end here. But thank you, Tricia. And I think we should have a part 2 in a few weeks because I have more questions for you. You are fantastic.
Sorry.
No, don't be. You are fantastic. Thank you for being so open and sharing and honest about what you're doing. I love chatting with you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right.